Here is the scene most gardeners know well. You walk out on a Saturday morning with your coffee still warm. You lean down to check on the tomatoes you planted 3 weeks ago. And you see them. The tiny holes in the leaves. The curled edges. The sticky residue that means something was there overnight, feeding while you slept. So you reach for the spray. You have always reached for the spray. Most of us have. The global pesticide market generates over $84 billion every year. That number is not built on failure. It is built on repetition. You spray, the pest population drops, a resistant generation survives, and 6 weeks later you spray again. It is a cycle that the industry has quietly designed around. Not through malice, necessarily, through the logic of profit. What most gardeners do not realize is that there is a category of pest control that does not work in cycles, that does not lose effectiveness over time, that costs almost nothing and leaves the soil biology completely intact. It has been sitting in a bag on a shelf, waiting. The pesticide industry pulls in over $84 billion annually. The entire business model rests on one assumption: that pest control requires a synthetic chemical solution, purchased repeatedly, season after season. Diatomaceous earth disrupts that cycle at its foundation, not because it replaces one pesticide with another, but because it eliminates the need for that category of product entirely, for a fraction of the price, with zero recurring revenue for anyone. There is no patent on ancient ocean sediment. There is no profit margin in telling a gardener to buy a 5-pound bag once and use it for 3 years. So the information exists in university extension offices and entomology journals and the back pages of organic farming guides. Quietly, without a marketing budget, without an orange label. That is why most gardeners have never heard of it used this way. Not because it does not work, but because no one with money has any reason to tell them. Before we talk about what this powder does to a pest, it is worth understanding what it is. Because the mechanism is not chemistry. It is physics. And once you understand it, you will never look at a bag of white powder the same way. Diatomaceous earth is made from the fossilized remains of diatoms, single-celled algae that lived in ancient oceans and freshwater lakes hundreds of millions of years ago. When they died, their silica shells sank to the bottom and accumulated in layers over geological time. What we mine today, and what you can buy for under $20 for a large bag, is essentially compressed ocean floor. Under a microscope, each particle looks like a tiny glass shard. Jagged, crystalline, almost beautiful in the way that dangerous things sometimes are. Dr. Whitney Cranshaw, an entomologist at Colorado State University, has spent decades studying the mechanical action of diatomaceous earth on insect populations. His research, along with work published in the Journal of Economic Entomology, confirms what structural biologists have observed for years. The particles do not poison insects. They abrade the waxy outer layer of the exoskeleton, a structure called the cuticle, causing the insect to lose moisture at a rate it cannot survive. Think of the cuticle as a raincoat. An insect without an intact cuticle is a raincoat with 1,000 small holes. Every movement spreads the damage. Dehydration follows within hours, sometimes days, depending on the species and the humidity of the environment. No insect has developed resistance to this mechanism. You cannot evolve around physics. You cannot build a thicker cuticle fast enough to outpace a geological material that has been sharp for 60 million years. That is not a metaphor. That is the mechanism. The food-grade version, which is the only kind you should ever use in a garden, is safe enough that the USDA has approved it as a grain storage treatment. It is used to protect stored wheat, corn, and legumes from weevils without leaving chemical residue. The same material that protects your garden bed is sitting inside grain silos across the country right now, doing its quiet work. This is where gardeners sometimes go wrong, and where the specifics matter. Diatomaceous earth works on insects with soft or waxy exoskeletons that move through or across it consistently. The list is long. Aphids, thrips, beetles, earwigs, ants, fungus gnats, cucumber beetles, squash bugs, and the larvae of several moth species that overwinter in soil. If it crawls, and if it has a cuticle, diatomaceous earth is a credible threat. Here is a question worth asking, though: what does it leave alone? Earthworms, for one. Earthworms do not have an exoskeleton. They are not vulnerable to abrasion in the way insects are. Research conducted at the Rodale Institute, one of the longest-running organic agriculture research centers in the United States, found no measurable reduction in earthworm populations in beds treated with diatomaceous earth over a full growing season. The soil biology, the fungal networks, the bacterial communities, remains intact. Bees are a different consideration. Bees carry pollen on their bodies and legs, and dry diatomaceous earth can adhere to that pollen and potentially harm them if they come into contact with treated flowers. This is why application timing matters enormously. Apply in the evening, After pollinators have returned to their hives or nests, apply around the base of plants, not on blossoms. Let it do its work at soil level, where the crawling pests live, not at flower level, where the beneficial insects forage. Slugs and snails respond differently depending on conditions. In dry weather, diatomaceous earth creates a barrier they will not cross. The surface is simply too abrasive and desiccating. In wet conditions, the material clumps and loses its cutting edge until it dries again. This is not a failure of the material. It is a property that, once understood, you work with rather than against. Dr. Eric Brennan, a research horticulturalist with the USDA Agricultural Research Service, has noted in his work on organic pest management that the most common reason diatomaceous earth underperforms in garden trials is misunderstanding its environmental limitations, not any failure of the underlying mechanism. What it is not: a contact spray that kills on impact. What it is: a territorial barrier. A line drawn in white powder that says certain things will not pass, and backs that claim up with 60 million years of geological engineering. The application is simple. The precision is what separates gardeners who see results within a week from gardeners who see nothing and conclude it does not work. Start with food-grade diatomaceous earth, not pool-grade. Pool-grade diatomaceous earth has been heat-treated, which changes the crystalline structure and makes it dangerous to inhale without respiratory protection. Food-grade is the material approved for grain storage, safe around children and pets once settled, and available at most garden centers or hardware stores for between $12 and $20 for a 4-pound bag. You will also need a simple duster, a small puffer bottle, or a cheap powder duster from any garden supply store. The goal is a thin, even layer, not a thick drift. More is not better. A thin coating over the target surface is all the mechanism requires. Think of it as frosting, not plastering. Begin at the soil line, the base of each plant stem, the top of the soil within 6 to 8 inches of the plant, the inner rim of your raised bed. These are the entry corridors. For in-ground beds, create a perimeter line around the planting area, a ring roughly 2 to 3 inches wide. For potted plants, apply around the drainage holes as well. Fungus gnats, one of the most persistent nuisances in container gardening, typically enter through the bottom or the soil surface. A ring at both points eliminates most of their access routes. Reapply after any rain event or after overhead irrigation. This is non-negotiable. Wet diatomaceous earth is clumped and ineffective. The moment the rain stops and the surface dries, reapply. Keep a small container near the garden so the friction of going to the shed does not become the reason you skip a treatment. For seasonal use, apply at the beginning of the growing season before pest pressure begins. A preventive ring is far more effective than a reactive one. The pests that never arrive are more valuable than the pests you eliminate after damage has already begun. Inside raised beds with wooden frames, apply along the inner walls as well. Cucumber beetles and squash bugs frequently travel the frame itself as a highway. Disrupting that path takes less than 2 minutes and costs less than 20 cents per application. The experiment that proves this to the skeptical mind is simple. Plant 2 identical crops. Protect one with a diatomaceous earth perimeter beginning day 1. Leave the other unprotected. Check both at 14 days. The difference is rarely subtle. Once the basic perimeter is established, diatomaceous earth opens into a broader toolkit than most gardeners realize. The core mechanism, abrasion at the exoskeleton, applies in more context than a ring around a tomato plant. Soil drench for fungus gnats. Mix 1 tablespoon of food-grade diatomaceous earth into a gallon of water, stir thoroughly, and water your container plants with it. The particles settle through the soil and create an inhospitable environment for gnat larvae, which live in the top 2 inches of moist potting mix. This application is most effective when paired with surface treatment. Research published in Frontiers in Plant Science has documented fungus, gnat larval mortality rates above 80% with consistent soil application over a 3-week period. Trunk banding for fruit trees. Fruit tree borers and certain species of ants use the trunk as a climbing highway to reach fruit and leaves. A band of diatomaceous earth applied around the trunk base, refreshed every 10 to 14 days, disrupts this vertical transit corridor. For ants specifically, which often farm aphids by protecting them from predators, eliminating the ants' access to the canopy often allows the aphid population to collapse naturally as ladybugs and parasitic wasps work without interference. Seed starting mix amendment. Mixing a small quantity of diatomaceous earth, roughly 5% by volume, into seed starting mix can reduce fungus gnat pressure in propagation trays significantly. It does not affect germination. Dr. Mary Dixon, a plant pathologist at Michigan State University, noted in her extension work on greenhouse pest management that diatomaceous earth amendments in propagation media represent one of the most cost-effective preventive tools available to small-scale growers. Winter storage protection. If you store bulbs, tubers, or root vegetables over winter, dahlia tubers, sweet potato slips, garlic braids, coating them lightly in diatomaceous earth before storage reduces the incidence of storage mites and small beetles that can devastate a winter cache without any visible sign until spring. The material is dry, inert, and does not affect the viability of the planting material. The thread connecting all of these applications is the same, a microscopic physical mechanism doing slow, consistent, unglamorous work. No dramatic spray, no chemical smell, no countdown to re-entry intervals. Just physics and patience, and a material the ocean has been perfecting since before anything walked on land. Nearly every gardener who tries diatomaceous earth for the first time makes the same mistake. They apply it heavily, in one concentrated area, and then they water the garden the next morning on schedule. The pile of white powder that looked substantial on Saturday is gone by Sunday. Dissolved into the soil, clumped and ineffective, indistinguishable from the dirt around it. They check the plants on Monday, see new pest damage, and conclude that diatomaceous earth is a myth, that it does not work, that they wasted $20. The mistake is not the product. The mistake is the water. Diatomaceous earth loses its cutting edge the moment it becomes wet. Wet particles clump together, rounding their edges, losing the surface area that makes them lethal to an exoskeleton. This is not a flaw. It is a property. A dry desert is inhospitable to certain life. The same desert in the rain becomes passable. Diatomaceous earth is a desert, and rain is the thing that temporarily turns it green. The solution is sequential application. Apply in the evening. Allow it to work overnight, when most crawling pests are active and humidity is lower. If rain is forecast, delay application until after the weather system passes. Water your plants at soil level, using drip irrigation or a careful hand, not overhead sprinklers that would wash the perimeter clean. The second common mistake is applying too much. A thick layer is not more effective than a thin one. In fact, a very thick application can form a crust that repels water from reaching plant roots, which is the opposite of what a healthy garden needs. The goal is a fine, even coating, visible but not piled. Think dusting, not pouring. Gardeners who see no result after 2 weeks have almost always been caught by rain, or have been watering overhead, or both. That single awareness, that water resets the application, is the difference between a method that transforms your pest management and a bag of white powder collecting dust in a corner of the garage. There is a pattern in gardening that repeats across cultures and across centuries, and it goes like this. The most powerful solutions are the ones that have no commercial advocate. Nobody profits from telling you about diatomaceous earth. There is no subscription, no recurring shipment, no upgrade. You buy a bag, you use it carefully, and it lasts a long time. The silence around it is not a mystery. It is a financial consequence. What this powder represents, though, is something larger than pest control. It is evidence of a principle that every experienced gardener eventually comes to. Nature has already solved most of the problems we are trying to solve. The solutions are often old, often microscopic, often unglamorous. They do not come in orange bottles. They do not produce a satisfying spray sound when you squeeze the trigger. They work slowly, at the boundary between soil and stem, in the hours before dawn when most gardeners are asleep. The ocean made this material over millions of years, one microscopic shell at a time. Each shell lived, photosynthesized, sank, and compressed into something that, 60 million years later, a gardener in a suburb somewhere can dust around a tomato plant for less than $1 and watch it hold a line that no pest has yet learned to cross. That is not a small thing. That is the earth, still solving problems we did not even know it was working on. The garden rewards the gardener who learns to read those solutions, not the one who reaches fastest for the loudest intervention. Work quietly. The best pest barriers always do. If the idea that a material 60 million years old can outperform a $14 bottle of pesticide changes the way you think about what goes into your garden, leave a comment below. I want to know, which pest has been giving you the most trouble this season? Share this with a fellow gardener who is still reaching for the spray every Saturday morning. And if you want more of this kind of quietly powerful gardening knowledge, subscribe and stay close. Until next time, keep your hands in the dirt and trust what the earth already knows.